We begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Jenny, may we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioner Borelli?
Here.
Commissioner Meltzer?
Here.
Commissioner Palmieri?
Here.
Commissioner Reback?
Here.
Commissioner Shandrick?
Here.
And Chair Davis?
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you.
Yay, good for the quorum. All right. So next I need an approval of the agenda and the meeting for tonight's meeting. And before, I'm not sure if we should move it and then I add my amendment, or if I should just make my motion to begin with.
Go ahead. Let us know your amendment first, I think, Chair.
Oh,
yes.
What I would like to do is I'd like to entertain a motion that we move the HIV 0 report to the consent calendar. Reason being is that, as all of you may remember, on December 1st, we were together. We received the same report we will receive tonight. And there's been no changes. So I would like to move it to consent.
Does that need a second?
Yes.
I second it. I second the motion.
So the motion is on the floor to move the HIV 0 presentation to consent calendar, and we just agree to it. And it goes to council on I think the 19th or the 18th, something like that.
On the 19th.
The 19th.
And when you approve the agenda, you would approve this motion.
Okay. So do I have anyone who'd like to approve the agenda with my motion? Patrick?
Another possible consent, the board and commission liaisons, given that the board and commissions may be reshuffling next month, I wondered if we would want to table that until positions are solidified.
Tabling is different than consent.
I see.
If I may, though, if we can wrap that into one motion, I agree with Commissioner Shandrick. We should just table that till the next meeting.
David, do we have a problem with adding Commissioner Shandrick's suggestion to my motion?
We do not.
Okay.
We can table that item until the February meeting.
So what?
Or March, if our terms are up February 28th. Yep.
Okay. That would be part of the motion within the approval of the agenda.
Okay. So, commissioners, what you're voting on is to approve the agenda as it is, as well as the motion to move the HIV status report and the picking of or choosing of liaisons between the boards and commissions until March. If that's the way I understand it.
So moved.
So moved, and so we have a vote then.
Second.
So, Jenny, can we have a roll call? I'm sorry.
So again,
Hello.
Commissioner Borelli?
Aye.
Commissioner Meltzer?
Yes.
Commissioner Palmieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Reback?
Aye.
Commissioner Shandrick?
Yes.
And Chair Davis?
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so then next we'll need motions to approve the minutes. Do I need separate motion for each minute, or can I have them approved at the same time?
We do them separately.
Separately. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from November 10th's meeting?
So moved.
So seconded.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any corrections from anyone? Otherwise, Jenny, would you give us a roll call again, please?
Of course. Commissioner Borelli?
Aye.
Commissioner Meltzer?
Yes.
Commissioner Palmieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Reback,
Aye, sorry.
Commissioner Shandrick,
Yes.
and then Chair Davis.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then we will also vote on the Human Services Commission meeting minutes from the December meeting, which was December 8th. May I have a motion and a second for that to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Meltzer moves
Second.
and Commissioner Shandrick seconds. Any discussion? Need for changes, anything? Going once, okay. Jenny? Hello.
Commissioner Borelli,
Abstain.
that is right. Commissioner Meltzer,
Yes.
Commissioner Palmieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Reback,
Aye.
Commissioner Shandrick,
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we'll move, the consent calendar has been taken care of. Unfinished business A has been moved to the consent calendar, so we'll go to unfinished business B, which is the reprogramming of the 1920 contract savings and unspent funds. And I will turn that over to David.
So good evening, Commissioners. I'm David Jenny. I'm the manager of the City's Social Services Division. And this evening, the Commission will receive a report on the reallocation of $152,212 in returned funds, or what we refer to as contract savings, of which $52,931 was allocated as emergency funding. And in addition, $96,882 in unspent or withheld funds. This is all from the 2019-20 Social Services contract year. And I'm going to go through this. Don't hesitate to ask questions as I go. So I want to go from there to page 2 of your staff report, where you have the table underneath the fiscal impact. So you'll see in the second column that's your return funds, or as I said, contract savings. So those are funds that we paid out. This is what you get, pretty much every year. Now, with that said, ideally, it is, that we want all the funds spent out. We want them all spent out. We want them spent out appropriately. So I think sometimes, just to put it in perspective, we don't want the money back. But this was an unusual year, and there have been a few unusual years that we have seen return funds. I won't go through all of those, each and every one, but some of the larger ones that you see, well, first, BetSetic, you'll see that has the asterisk next to it. And that $52,931, that's the emergency funds. That's what they received for the first 3 months of the pilot program. So that was the last quarter, July through September of the contract year. It took some time for BetSetic to identify and bring on the attorney that's dedicated to that program now, and also the paralegal. They also did not use, they had funds for a subcontractor, depending on whether or not they needed them, if they were inundated with cases, or if there were any cases that presented a conflict. So as you can see, the bulk of those funds are being returned. That initial allocation off the top of my head was about $77,360. The bulk of those funds are being returned, but then as you recall, and I'll give a report under staff comments later tonight, we did renew that contract from October through March. They received $72,000. The staff is in place, the program is running. So it just took a while. So that's what the largest amount that you see being returned. You have money from the Alliance for Housing and Healing. That was some rental assistance funds that were not expended. Rental assistance program, not from the emergency program. From JVS SoCal, we had a significant amount, and Les will remind me what the bulk of those return funds, I think, were for personnel and then facilities, Les?
For JVS, approximately half was for personnel. They had a vacant position for several months, and then the other half was kind of an even split between program costs and facilities costs. You know, when the pandemic hit and the library closed, they had to close their offices, you know, their physical space. And so things like equipment lease and rental and office supplies were underspent. They also did not spend out their outreach and marketing funds. And so, as I said, about half the money was personnel and the other half was program and facilities costs.
The funds, one of the other larger amounts was JFS, oops, I'm sorry, I've got that. Right, oh, that'll get to the withheld funds. The senior program for the center, those were event funds that were unable to be held due to the public health directives. We had some personnel dollars that came back from Step Up on Second. So those are an example of what was returned. The total comes to that 158,212. Of that, the 52,931 will be going back to the social services emergency funding line. So when we have requests or if we need additional money for rental assistance, for home delivered meals, or for the legal services, that's a separate account. So those dollars come out of this and go back to the emergency funding. Your third column there is withheld funds. This is a little different this year. There's not as much money listed here, but when you see Awakenings, as you know, their outreach contract, we terminated that contract before the end of the year. So literally, they were not paid that $4,650. It was withheld. They never received that. JFS Comp Services, that large amount was for, the bulk of it was personnel. They had staffing positions that were not filled, and those funds also were not initially paid out. So we refer to it as withheld. JQ International, as you know, that contract was terminated. In addition to, they did return funds, $7,467. We also did not pay them the last couple months for that contract after it was terminated. That's that $3,756. The St. Thomas the Apostle, that was, as you know, also that contract was terminated. That $10,612, that's money that will be withheld from this current year. That contract is done, so those funds will not be spent. The treatment pool of funds, you have $64,334 that was unspent. So as you know, the past couple of years, once we got, our agencies were approved, Tarzana and previously with Safe Refuge for Drug Medi-Cal, they really have not looked to West Hollywood for funding. The funding is, has been made available. If they bring in community members who are not eligible for Drug Medi-Cal, if we have some undocumented community members, those funds, have been available for them, but they did not need to access that $64,334. So those are the funds that are combination, return, and then withheld. We issued invoices to all the agencies for the amounts listed in the second column. We have received, actually Leslie gave an update to all the staff today. We've received a number of those checks back. What's different this year is that, and we had mentioned this when we brought the social services contract renewals, we, at the beginning of this year, council approved the standard base budget for social services, which is the $5,077,000, I think it's 713. So that was approved this year. There was no reduction in that. Yes, $5,077,713. So now if you go to your attachment A, I'm going to be referencing that, the funding chart. So, but as you know, because all of you all participated in the 2019 through 22 funding process. And at the time, I believe it was Mayor D'Amico, asked that we come back and make recommendations for supplemental funding for programming that would address some of the intensification of various social service issues. Specifically, they were talking about homeless issues, mental health, substance abuse. So they said, you know, come back, make a recommendation for supplemental funding. We brought that to the commission. You approved the recommendations, and they are listed under column C for the programs that received that. That was over and above the $5,077,000. That was at the time interpreted to be a one-time funding, although we made the case that during COVID, there certainly continues to be an intensification and need for additional funding. So this was approved once again. The what you see, that 343,439, in addition to that 5,077,713. It was approved, but part of the direction was that any returned funds or withheld funds would go towards funding those programs. So as opposed to most years when we have unspent funds, we come to the commission and either we have recommendations that staff makes where we would like to reallocate those funds, or there have been times when we've released a mini RFP for services. This time, those funds are going for the supplemental programming that was approved by both staff, commission, and council in 2019-22. It does not cover. We don't have $343,439 in contract savings. That will continue to be a discussion. And if you go back to your contract renewal item that we brought in September, at the time, we had talked about making recommendations for where we might reduce programming. We are not making those recommendations at this time. We will continue to monitor the programs, and if needed, either make recommendations for reductions or make recommendations that council provide unallocated general funds to cover the remainder of the supplemental programming. Just to tie it up, that column D, you don't need to worry about. We get CDBG funds, community development block grant funds. The city gets an allocation, I believe, between $250,000 and $300,000 a year. A portion of that always goes to homeless services, and it goes to the agency that provides shelter beds. It used to be PATH for a number of years, and since we've been contracting with Essentia, those funds are allocated to them. So that 36,396 are funds that are allocated to Essentia's contract. So that might have been getting too much into the weeds, but I wanted to take the time and really review it with you. I'm open for any questions that you might have.
All right, commissioners, do I have anyone who would like to volunteer to go first, or shall I go one at a time?
I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Palmieri, you have the floor.
David, just a little bit of a clarification on Essentia, $10,377. What would that have been returned for?
I will have to give some of these, I'll have to go back to the program monitor. There were, in addition to personnel into some facilities, there were program expenses. I mean, literally, supplies and things that could not be provided due to, the way that folks were, kind of the creative ways that folks were implementing the services. So there are a lot of returned program and supply funds, but I will make a note and get a report from Katie Egan on exactly what was returned with that 10,377.
I'd be really interested in that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Is that it, Jimmy? Okay. Commissioner Shandrick, do you have any questions?
Just as long as we're kind of talking about budgets and continued funding, is there any, do you have any information on if the city has applied or is eligible for CARES Act reimbursement, and what areas would that be coming into?
So it's a timely question. I was going to talk about it under items from staff, but let's talk about it now. So the state California Department of Housing and Community Development just released a NOFA, Notification of Funding Opportunity, for additional CDBG, that's the Community Development Block Grant, CV COVID funding. That funding is CARES Act dollars. So that I'm working with Doug Wynn. Doug is our new transit administrator, and Abby Arnold. You all know Abby, who's assisted us with various projects and still works closely with Corey Plank and Strategic Initiatives. We are working on that proposal now. That is the opportunity for 2 additional activities. We received funding with the first release, and that was the CDBG funds that went to Project Angel Food. We received $138,241. It covers emergency home delivered meals. We can now apply for up to $200,000 for each activity, and we plan on applying for additional funding for home delivered meals. And with those funds, we would like to include JFS Nutrition as one of the recipients, because as you know, they have been providing emergency meals. They brought them online after we got going, so we didn't request the first time around for them. We requested it for Angel Food. Anyway, so additional home delivered meals, emergency, and additional rental assistance. So, and that proposal is due February 12th. So we're working on that now.
And would that be for future monies or reimbursement?
Future.
Okay.
So it's a good question because, as you know, we got that $138,241 for Angel Food. They had already received emergency, allocations from the city. So we had them spend out all the money, the funds that the city had allocated from general fund reserves, and then they began to spend out the CDBG. They still have that CDBG. They just began spending that out in August, and we estimate the rate it's going that they will be completely spent out by the end of next month, by February. So if we if we're successful with this, it would go towards their emergency home delivered meals. We'll see how quickly. There's some big assumptions here that we will get it, but if we do, there might be a gap that we have to do some more general funds until CDBG is available.
Okay, great. Thank you, David.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Okay. Then Commissioner Borelli, do you have any questions? Can't see.
No questions. Great report. I think it's clearly a fair way to do this and makes our job a little easier rather than fighting over where the funds should go. I like the way this is all laid out. Thank you, too.
Okay.
So I guess so you're saying roughly $185,000 short at this point in terms of making up that 343.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Good job.
All right. Commissioner Reback.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to thank staff and just want to ask, was there any requests from any of these agencies for different kind of funds that they could use for different purposes? Because I know they had to return it because of COVID. They weren't able to pay rent or they didn't need it for certain things. But are there other purposes that they can be repurposed for, or that we can do something else with the funds for?
there's always asked for more funding. We had many of the discussions. You know, one of the issues that has come up has been rental funding for the Alliance for Housing and Healing. So they've had some challenges with their fundraising, and so there's been challenges with their. We match their money for their regular aging in place program and for their DFA, that's the Direct Financial Assistance Program for community members with HIV and AIDS. So they have struggled to make their match. So we had talked about those funds that they're returning. But there's also been, at the same time, the county has released financial assistance programs. The DHSP used to be OAPP, the Office of AIDS Programs and Policies. They have released funding for additional financial assistance and for people with HIV. And then the county, you guys don't have to hear from me during items from staff. The county is also releasing, or is going to be doing another release of their rent relief program. So that was the rental assistance program through the county that West Hollywood is eligible for. So that's coming back up. And that was, even though we didn't have a lot of community members who were able to, that's not the right term, but who were successful in accessing that, we had 52 community members who got that because they did it through a lottery. We had 780 folks apply. But anyway, it's a significant amount of money. That's also, it's based on income. You have to be below AMI, and I think a percentage below AMI. But that was a significant amount. There were two tiers. One was 7,500 and one was 10,000. So that's coming back online. And in fact, I think we sent you the link. And if we didn't, I will send it to you again, because people can sign up, community members can sign up to get an alert when exactly they should be applying again. So all this to say is that we're working with the Alliance, and for some of their programs, we want to assist our community members in accessing that DHSP money, and then accessing the county dollars, and then also accessing the regular rental assistance through NCJW. So as opposed to continuing, and this isn't settled yet, but as opposed to stopping the leak, we want to work to make sure that folks are accessing other funding that's available for those programs.
Folks, I don't mean to interrupt you, but my doctor just called and my vaccine is there and I have to go get it now. I'm sorry. But it's good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Go get it, brother.
Commissioner Reback, were you finished? You're good. Okay, that leaves Commissioner Meltzer.
I just have one question, David, and I probably asked it before. For the Alliance for Housing and Healing, how do older adults know about the rental assistance?
So the regular program, the regular aging in place rental assistance was brought online in 2019-20. And so that's been included in all of our updated brochures since we entered those contracts. Those have been available online. We gave, as you recall, all of the agencies received additional funding in 2019-20. Everybody received an additional 3% over their contract amount to produce outreach pieces to get the information out to the community. So the Alliance had additional fund also to do outreach. We have pushed that out. It is on the website. We pushed all of the programs out, and I'm repeating myself, but through Nixle alerts,
Right.
through various means that the city has. And here, I'll be quiet at the end of the meeting. I was going to give you an update on the on the social services brochure. We had the trilingual brochure ready to go in March. Sure enough, COVID hit, everything changed. We are finalizing that brochure now with all the updated information on the agencies and their service provision. We're also including transit programming in the brochure, and we have been able to, the division has been able to, not scrape, but we have enough funds to do an all-city mail.
That's great.
If that's where you were leading, thank you.
No, it's not. It's not. But one of the questions I have, and I don't know even where to discuss this, it says it's for all seniors. How do they define senior? At what age do they do?
55 and up.
Okay, thank you.
And so 55 and up access the Alliance, and under 55 is NCJW for rental assistance.
Okay, that should be shown someplace because everybody has
Yes.
a different definition of what a
Yes.
senior is. So, thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Good report. Everybody is satisfied. Before I move on to unfinished business C, I inadvertently skipped the public comment in the beginning of the meeting. And so I'm like charging right through, and I skipped that. So I just would like to check with Jenny to make sure I haven't left anybody hanging in the room.
You're all good. I promise you, I will let you know if there's anybody in the room.
Yeah. Okay, well, I did inadvertently skip it, so I guess I got lucky. All right, so we'll move on to item C, the Human Services Commission's work plan for this year, 2021.
So we brought this back. We implemented many of the suggestions that the commission had at our last meeting. Jenny, am I able to share my screen?
Yes, you can. I made you co-host. If you
So
like, I could share my screen for you.
Could you? That would be terrific.
Sure.
So we are,
Give me
we're
one.
talking, the attachment has the updated work plan. If you share that, then they all can look at it together. And
1 second.
thank you. Perfect. So if you want to scroll down to the attachment, and there it is. So as mentioned, we have incorporated many of your recommendations from the last meeting. Not all, and it's not that we're not going to, but there are still some. Commissioner Meltzer had a pretty detailed list. I'll be working with Corey Plank and Strategic Initiatives on the ones that haven't been incorporated yet into this. Many of them were, but as you see, Commissioner Meltzer, we don't have anything separately right now for social isolation and loneliness. You do see the Governor's Master Plan for Aging and a few other things, but I just wanted to mention that those are not, it's not that we had forgotten. I need to work with Corey Plank and see how best to include those. So if the commission would like to review, if there are other kind of glaring items that were left off, or if there are other things, other items that you would like considered.
Okay, I see a hand raised, Commissioner Meltzer.
Yes, thank you. I do have a question about that. I don't know where this goes, if it would be a request to add something to that list, or what about, I have in the past few weeks had issues with block by block and with unmasked people. And can we get public safety, maybe a commissioner or two, to come and talk to us? There's really a problem. I had a problem with code compliance and the sheriff's deputies. It's like I've become the mask policette or something. And should I talk about this now? Because I don't know quite where to put it. If we should have people from the Commission for Public Safety, or if I should go talk to the Public Safety Department. But twice I have seen block by block ambassadors on their bikes, sitting on their bikes, chatting away, and I've seen people without masks. And I know they can't enforce anything, but they can educate. They can stop people who are not wearing masks, and they can educate them, or they can give them masks. And I had another issue with a construction site where 6 construction workers were standing on the street hanging out without their masks, and I called the sheriff's deputy, which I now understand it should be code compliance. But I would like to know more about this and understand it, and I don't know quite how to do that. Can we have somebody come and talk to us? It's help.
I would just chime in. I think that's an individual issue, Barbara, and maybe you should go in front of Public Safety Commission. I don't know if that's a topic this commission, this body should take up. I understand your concerns.
Take up. I'd like to learn. I would like to learn.
Then you're free to. I don't know if this is an item. This seems like a personal issue, and I do understand.
A personal issue that people in my city are walking around without masks?
Right, but I don't feel we have mask mandates. I don't feel like this is a topic this body should take up as an organization. I welcome the other commissioners to share their thoughts.
Okay.
Anyone else like to have a thought about this?
It was simply inviting people to come and teach us.
I think maybe, David, if you could, maybe we could have you interface with public safety or whomever would be over in that area and try to get an understanding of why we have ambassadors without masks, or ambassadors who are not at least attempting to educate the public to wear their masks.
I would be happy to, and you're correct, Commissioner Meltzer. It's for the example that you gave at the construction site, it's code compliance. So I'll check in with Danny Rivas, who's the manager of code compliance. I would, and I heard the direction from Commissioner Shandrick, but I would encourage you to, whether it's individually or if it is on the behalf of the commission, I would encourage you to go to.
Yeah, it's on behalf of the city. Yeah. It's on behalf of the city and keeping people alive. That's what it's about.
Right, and I hear you. I would encourage you to attend the Public Safety Commission meeting and share those concerns. The block by block certainly is under their purview, and then I'll check with code.
But isn't health under ours?
Health is.
Okay.
So I'll report back. I won't wait until next month.
Okay.
I'll report back. Yeah,
I'll deal with it,
back to all of you.
I'll deal with it.
Okay, but as I said, I will speak with Danny Rivas in code compliance.
Any other commissioner have comments or suggestions for the work plan? Are we accepting it the way it is?
I do have a few comments.
Thank you.
Just in review, it just looks like March is a very busy month. Art and Cultural Affairs presentation, which I'm sure is going to be good. It's especially something good, a little bit of a different topic for our commission to take up, so I look forward to that. But then a report on employment services, Measure H funding, and the Met annual report. I think the Met annual report is going to be something that we're all going to be very interested in and may take up a lot of time. So perhaps if we want to move employment services to April, which seems to be a much lighter month, it may get more attention. And I think employment services warrants that attention, and the Met report warrants its own a little bit more attention. That may be just something that we can do to better balance the calendar. Then, if possible, I know it's a late edition, but I don't see anything on there that's relatively similar, but could we have a legal services report? Maybe somebody from BetCivic to come and just explain the range of legal services that we fund, and especially given what's going on with COVID, what legal services they provide for rental assistance, because I know we're funding some of that, and just for other general services that our residents might need. That may be something we can do in June, if we can get somebody from BetCivic maybe to come, and maybe from another organization that staff thinks is appropriate. But that's all. Other than that, it looks very good.
So just to repeat, Commissioner Reback, your suggestion is to move the Employment Services Report from March to April, and to include a Legal Services Report in June.
Yeah, or somewhere appropriate, but June looks to have only one item right now. I don't know how long the mid-year report's going to be, but if we have room for another, 30 to 45 minute discussion, I think that would be a good time to have it.
Okay.
If we can do it sooner, I think it would be good for the residents to have the legal services information as soon as possible, but I know our calendar is sort of busy, so I just wanted to see if we can accommodate.
If I may suggest, am I on? Yeah, I am. If I may suggest, I would move what Commissioner Reback suggested for the legal services into April. That moves it up away from June, moves it closer to us. And because senior programming, it's more of a report. I'm not certain how much information will come from the governor's master plan for aging. I don't know what the bulk of that would be like, but I think the legal services could be done in April. It's a good suggestion. Nicely done.
In terms of the suggestions and exactly where they fit in the calendar, I'm happy to leave that with staff. But if we could fit in a legal services report, and then I think, just it would be better if the Met report had its own day separate from employment services. I think they should each have sort of their own.
Makes sense.
Putting them together is a little bit much. I think they should be separated so we can pay different attention to them, unless staff thinks there's a reason to link them together on the same day for some reason. And Chair Davis, I think Commissioner Meltzer wants to.
I'm sorry, I drifted for a moment.
I think the governor's master plan for aging will be a comprehensive report.
It'll be bulky.
Yeah, I believe so, because they have it's 5 goals, 23 strategies, and 100 plus action items. So, and now we're not going to get all of those.
Yes.
But I think it'll be pretty comprehensive. So.
All right. Well, we've given you some suggestions, David. I'll allow you to and staff to put them into the right spots. If you will look, May is also rather heavy, so it's you might just move things around a little bit. June and July are light, so we might think of moving a little bit around. Is that good, David? Did you?
You're muted.
Am I muted?
There you go. No, David was.
Oh, David's muted. Oh, okay.
Yes, we will. We'll look, make sure that things are as balanced as possible. I do hear Commissioner Reback. The legal services, the sooner the better. We'll bring back the work plan. We'll keep it on the agenda. We'll bring it back in February.
Woohoo.
With any revisions.
So excited. We'll get it done just in time for the new work plan of 2022. All right. So everybody's comfortable with this. We're going to move forward and go to new business. Item A, a new business, was put under the consent calendar. And so we're going to item B, the Human Services Commission 2021 meeting dates. Leslie.
Yes. Hi, good afternoon. Good evening, sorry. This item is being brought to the commission as it is being brought to all the boards and commissions at the request of our city clerk's office. And it is simply to inform you of what the regularly scheduled meetings are for this commission. As you well know, second Tuesday of every month, 6 o'clock. The reason why we are being asked to get this in front of you is to be absolutely sure that your regularly scheduled meetings don't conflict with let's say, a religious holiday like Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah, which are never on the same day every year. And there's been some years past where meetings had in fact been scheduled on days that had significant conflicts like that. So this is mostly to just get these dates on your calendars and for you to let us know if there's any conflict that we are not aware of. And I will just let you know that I checked those two examples of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and there is no conflict for 2021. But if there are other reasons that we should consider a date conflict, we would want you to let us know well in advance so that we can try to reschedule for a time that is conflict-free. So there's really nothing to do. You're not being asked to do anything, but to just know that these are the dates for the year, and to inform staff if there's something we need to be aware of.
All right. Then everybody understands that and might check your calendars just to see if everybody's on, board. There's not anything going on. I know that we've had meetings that were scheduled for election day and all kinds of little oddities. So if you notice of something, please let us know or let staff know so it can be corrected. Like not 2 days before it happens too, please. All right. And once I get my screen back, I will move. Thank you, Leslie. Move on to item C, which is the election of a vice chair. And that I'm turning over to Leslie as well.
Okay. So as you all know, the commission's vice chair has been appointed to the Planning Commission. And so we have a vacancy for vice chair that we will do elections for tonight. And this term for vice chair will run through till November of this year. I think we did this just a few months ago. It's a kind of an awkward way of doing it, but it is how it needs to be done. I will open the floor and ask 3 times if there's any nominations, and then I will close the nomination period. Is there a question, Barbara, or would you like to make
I have a nomination.
Okay, great. So I'm going to open the floor for nominations, and if you would like to just like Barbara just did, by a show of hand, if you have someone you'd like to nominate.
I would like to nominate the man who just left, Commissioner Palmieri, to get his vaccine. Is that okay? Can I still do that though he's not here?
Yes. So we have one nomination for vice chair. Do we have anyone else who would like to nominate somebody else for vice chair?
No.
Any other nominations for vice chair? And finally, any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, so we will close the nominations for vice chair, and then we will take a roll call vote. We have one nomination. Jenny, if you could please take a roll call vote. The nomination is for Commissioner Jimmy Palmieri.
Commissioner Borelli?
You're muted.
You were there just a moment ago.
He said yes. Okay, so I'm going to move on to Commissioner Meltzer. I'll come back to Commissioner
Yes.
Borelli shortly.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Reback?
Yes, aye. I just did the same thing. Aye, yes.
No problem. Commissioner Shandrick?
Yes.
Perfect. And then back to Commissioner Borelli. I need you to unmute. Okay. And then Chair Davis?
Aye.
Thank you.
Sam is frozen.
Oh, okay. I do have one question. Just because the nominee wasn't actually present during the election, if he does not wish to have this for some odd reason, whatever reasoning would be, then where would we go from there?
I think there'll just be a vacancy again.
Again.
We'll have a new election.
Yeah, he can let us know, and then we can do this again at
Okay.
the February meeting.
All I needed to know. Thank you. All right. I think I'm running out of paper here.
Chair Davis, Commissioner Meltzer wants to.
I know
Yes,
he's
Ms.
never seen
Ms. Meltzer.
Commissioner Meltzer's
Come
hand.
on.
I would not have nominated him without knowing that he wanted it.
Okay, I appreciate you telling us that. Thank you very much. I will sleep easier because I was hoping that you may have done that. Okay, excellent.
So it looks like you have
I have.
elected a vice chair to carry the term through to November 2021, and we will congratulate Commissioner Palmieri on everyone's behalf.
Thank you. And tell him that it's going to be a difficult year because it'll be a funding year as well, and they couldn't have picked anybody better. So it's good. Just make sure he knows that the funding is happening. All right, and then we go to item number 5, which is the excluded consent, which there is none. Thank you all. And then we go to items from staff, but not David.
Actually, I do have
something.
I wanted to provide the update on the on COVID emergency programming.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, I see that even written out.
So this was updated just prior to this meeting. So this is a summary of the emergency support services that have been provided since March 16th through allocations from approved by council, and then also additional funding, as I mentioned previously, from the Community Development Block Grant, and we did have some previous funding through CARES Act dollars. So the Alliance for Housing and Healing, their Emergency Aging in Place program, has received in funding $308,820 to date. Just for to give you context, the average rent for folks who are applying is $971 a month. And as of today, January 11th, yesterday, they have awarded 88 first month grants, 69 second month, 54 third, and 9 fourth month. As you recall, we took the restructure of the rental assistance program to council in December, and they approved a 4th month, access to a 4th month of rental assistance. The National Council of Jewish Women, their emergency rental assistance program has received $1,540,926 to date. Their average rent for applicants is $1,638 a month. As of yesterday, they had awarded a total of 1,204 grants. That breaks down to 437 first month, 396 second month, 334 third month, and 37 fourth-month grants. Project Angel Food has received $278,254 in emergency funding to date. They are providing emergency home-delivered meals to 165 new and unduplicated participants. The Bethsatic Legal Services has now, to date, opened for their Eviction Prevention and Defense Services program. They have 49 cases open, and 47 of those are active. And that's my report.
Thanks, David. Leslie, do you have anything?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Okay, and you're the only two staff I have, I take it. Normally there's more. Okay.
I think Jenny has one item to share as well.
Okay.
So as there won't be any in-person activities this year for MLK Day, we wanted you to know about the virtual donation drive. And we can send the flyer out to you so you can help get out the word.
Okay. Thank you. And then not going to skip the public comment again this time. Is Jenny, do we have anyone that would like to speak to the commission?
Chair Davis, we don't at this time.
Okay. So hearing none, I will move on to items from commissioners. I will start with Commissioner Meltzer.
Thank you. Just one thing, my county commission, LACOA, is going to have a panel discussion at our next meeting about HIV/AIDS in older adults, and Jeff Bailey from APLA Health will be leading it. So we will have Jeff, and we'll have a physician, and we'll probably have a person, an older adult who has been living with HIV/AIDS. So if anybody's interested in that panel discussion, let me know, and I'll get the Zoom link to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioner Sandrick, do you have anything?
Nothing to report. We made it through 2020 and wishing everyone a happy 2021.
Commissioner Reback?
Yeah, just a couple items. Thank you, Chair Davis. First, congratulations on a very efficient meeting tonight. Quite speedy. Well done. Next, I'd want to express gratitude for the all-city mailing that's going out regarding the brochure. I think the work on the brochure has been a long labor of love, and it's going to come out wonderfully. And I was just going to see if we are doing a mailing, can we include some sort of insert with that mailing about rental assistance programs? If it's possible, I don't know if it'll increase the postage, but usually just one slip of paper or something like that doesn't increase it too much. I don't know what the labor situation would be to do that, but it could be just an extra time to mail everybody a little something that would go out to them. Next, I think Commissioner Meltzer's discussion about the Blue Shirt Ambassadors does touch on something important. I do think there's some overlap with the Blue Shirt Ambassadors and our commission. I haven't figured out exactly what it is yet, but it seems to me that they are providing a human service in terms of what they do. They aren't exactly law enforcement, so there is some sort of interplay there. So I think it warrants some further discussion at some point later on at another meeting. So I think we should revisit that topic at some point again. Then I just want to say that the rental assistance programs are fantastic. I hope we can continue to fund them, continue to get the word out about them. Just the numbers themselves, seeing that we've helped over 1,000 people, maybe close to 2,000 it looks like, stay in their apartments for multiple months at a time. And we're funding things to stave off eviction. I think they're very important. So to any listeners on For viewers on WehoTV, welcome. If this commission helps get the word out about that, great. And if you need any assistance with these programs, please contact City Hall. They'll be happy to refer you to the proper organizations that will help you. And otherwise, just good to see everybody. Happy New Year, and thank you for a wonderful meeting.
And I see that Commissioner Borelli, you are back.
He's back. Thank you. That was a really, really convoluted way to not vote for Jimmy as vice chair. Of course, I support Jimmy as vice chair. No, my whole computer froze. Thank goodness I have in-house technology services on the other side of the room. But I couldn't do anything. I couldn't type, nothing. So I had to actually reboot the whole computer. So yes, I support Jimmy. The question regarding the mailing, I've been a fan of this for a while. Is there a letter, David, that's going out with the mailing just to let people know that these are available to them, or is it just the brochure itself?
Okay.
There will be a letter from the city manager.
Great.
That will be included. I did hear, want to acknowledge Commissioner Reback's thought about the rental assistance programs. And I think, as you're aware, we did get both the rental assistance program and the eviction prevention and defense program information into the rent stabilization newsletter, which should be going out as we speak. And that's also a hard copy going to all residents or all households in the city. But we could probably take that as like a one-page, or Leslie worked on that. Probably take that and see about including that in the mailing with the social services guide. We have to go out and get 3 quotes from various printers and folks to do the mailing. So I'm happy to get a quote for the guide, plus the that mailer.
Great. That's really all I had. Good to see you all again. Happy New Year.
So I think that means adjournment. I have no items other than it's so pleasant. I was sitting here thinking how nice it is to see a group of people without a mask and be safe at the same time. So I really appreciate it. It sometimes wears on one. Okay, so without further ado, I will adjourn the commission meeting until February the 9th of 2021. May you all stay safe. Barbara, be careful who you tell not to. I know
I'm being careful.
Yes, because there's some weird stuff going on, and just because we're in this little burg we think we're safe in, we're not always safe.
Chair,
Yes.
This is Jenny, your secretary. I wanted to share a screen with you all regarding the pamphlet David spoke about for the funded social services agencies for you guys to view and for the public to view on the other side of YouTube.
Thank you, Jenny.
So this is the most recent version. This came out in October. We wanted to share this. Thank you so much, Jenny, tonight.
Yeah.
This obviously is just the English version. We got this up so we would have, obviously, a brochure available. So we wanted to share this tonight. This is what's being updated once again, and it has been translated. We're just finishing up the translation for transit services. So since this meeting was being streamed live on YouTube, we thought it would be good to have a copy of the most recent brochure available for viewers. And we can, if folks need information about any of our programs, they can call 323-848-6510 and speak with the social services staff directly. So thank you, commissioners, for all of your support for the programs and in getting the information out.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Leslie. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, staff, for the trilingual. Thank you very much. The community I know appreciates it.
Yes, it does. And thank you, Jenny, for putting that in front of us before I got carried away and ended the meeting.
You're welcome anytime.
So now, without any further ado, I would like to adjourn the meeting until February the 9th, 2021, without any other objection.
Are there any adjournment motions, Chair?
I don't think we need
I
an
don't think
adjournment motion, do we?
Or are there any, does anyone want to adjourn?
I'm sorry, I
Or
misunderstood you. Yeah, is there any reason or anyone who needs to close the meeting in honor of? Other than, I would just personally, coming home tonight, I ran into 3 ambulances. I go by several assisted living facilities on my way home from work. There were 2 in one in 2 of the others. And this pandemic is still moving forward. So I would, like to close and hope that people can get through this safely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good one. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody. And let's be very thankful that January 20th, we had a sea change coming. So, I know we are all pinning our hopes upon this man and his vice president. So I'm hoping we've pinned our hopes in the right place. Couldn't be any worse than what we've had. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Restrictions are now being established by the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health to protect public health and safety. Effective Friday, November 20th, restaurants, breweries, wineries, bars, and all other non-essential retail establishments must close from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Occupancy will be limited to 25% maximum capacity at non-essential businesses permitted to operate indoors, including retail stores, offices, and personal care services.